The doubleheader is back. We've got games on games on games. Finally again at the World Cup today. A doubleheader coming up in the World Cup quarterfinals. I'm David Goss with your First Touch 26 daily show here live from New York City, which will be hosting the World Cup final in about a week and 1 day. And it will be in New Jersey, but I'm still going to call it New York. Anyway, David Goss here with Matt Doyle, with Michele Giannone. So a big show for you. We have England, Norway coming up 5 p.m. Eastern time today. And then after that, Argentina against the evil powers that are Switzerland, trying to save us all from the doom that could be watching Switzerland again at a World Cup match. That one at 9 p.m. Eastern time out in Kansas City, which I have to say, I thought coming into the World Cup, KC might be the best venue just because it would feel big enough there because it's not an overwhelming city. And I think KC got their return, which is I think they got the best fan bases across the World Cup. They got Rock Chalk Algeria. They got the Netherlands. They got Argentina. They got Colombia.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like they've done pretty well.
Yeah, I kind of feel like everybody's done pretty well. And I don't feel like I can comment on this because I've been, doing this very narrow corridor in New York the entire time. And we're lucky enough to get every fan base here because we're New York. But everybody's been impressive.
Yeah.
I don't particularly want to knock anyone.
Let's offend countries.
I know that you're ready to go in on Swiss fans.
Always.
So,
yeah. I live there.
Yeah.
That's my natural state. You have to get me out of that.
What did Switzerland do
I've
to
told you a million times
just
on this show.
Playing boring soccer.
No, I've been around their fans for 2 World Cups, 2014, 2018. Least enjoyable fans I've been around.
But in what way?
Boring, a little bit prissy, not as nice to locals as I felt other countries were. Honestly, you're at a World Cup, it's a party. And so
you feel like they were bad and maybe arrogant travelers?
Yes.
Okay.
And here's what Kansas City would have experienced, because Kansas City, not as central a place as New York. When you're in markets like that for a World Cup, it's the teams that are playing that roll through. So the vibe shifts heavily every 3 days.
Yeah.
Because you're in a market, and then when that team leaves, all those fans leave, and the next set of fans come in, and they dictate what it's like. It is I think one of the reasons many people don't like England fans. Because when England fans come in, it's not as fun.
Right.
And Boston experienced it a little bit with the Scotland versus England fans this World Cup. So I've experienced it with Swiss fans in 2 different markets at 2 different World Cups on 2 different continents, and I've had enough.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, you started hard, huh?
Yeah.
I'm happy that Kansas City is getting the love. Yeah. I love Kansas City.
Me too.
I think it's such an underrated city. And
which is why it's great Kansas is going to shell out $500 million in tax dollars to build a new stadium.
Yeah. like Salt Lake City. When people talk bad about Salt Lake City, I want to fight everyone.
Salt Lake City is amazing.
It's so good. And Kansas City, I had the opportunity. Remember Gold Cup 2021? When still there were COVID restrictions. So the USMNT picked to play their group stage. CONCACAF gave Kansas City the group that the US was
the US
playing.
Stole a win over Canada.
Okay. They scored minute 3 or something, and then it was a terrible game. So I was in Kansas City station for a month, and at the beginning you think, oh my God, a month in Kansas City, what I'm gonna do here? And it was the best time I've had.
Yeah, it's the only issue is you have to drive, but everything takes 7 minutes to get to because it's Kansas
There's
City.
no traffic.
Yeah, and now they've got the light rail running. You guys, let's all just move to Kansas City.
Easy.
I could live here.
Okay.
Get a summer house.
The meme I get sent once a week is friends being walks through the most expensive neighborhood of a city they're not in on vacation, goes, I could live here.
That was my experience with Chicago.
Yeah.
I was Chicago's great. I've never really spent time here, but it's like New York, but clean. It's
Oh, just in the West Loop, just on a weekend in June when it's 71 degrees and perfect. Okay. Well, as I said, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got 2 games coming up later today. And then, of course, we've got Spain versus Belgium to go back over. We'll be back live tomorrow to recap the 2 games we saw, to give a first primer towards the semifinals. And then Susanna is going to be back with us for the week.
I could live in Knoxville.
You could live in Knoxville.
No, I don't think
I could. Apparently, great bagels in Knoxville.
Really?
Something that I was unaware of.
OKC.
Yeah, I know there's good hiking.
You get to watch Shea all the time.
No.
OKC.
I don't think so.
We've reached his limits.
Hey, I've been to OKC, but I've been at the nice part, and and it's the same thing. Oh, this is very nice. And then you like step out a mile. No,
I didn't know.
No, thank
I
you.
didn't know Michele was a landman guy.
I'm a landman
Just
guy.
building the oil rigs on his free time. Let's start with Spain versus Belgium. A tough day for Belgium on a couple different fronts. Starting out, your captain, Yuri Tillemans, injured in warm-ups, trying to move around the field in basically a rondo, and ends up pulling up. There was video of it as Spain takes the 2-1 lead. There was video of it that I know Fox grabbed at some point, which he looked somewhat unsure for a moment. He goes over and talks to the coaches, then he like rips the penny off. But this is something we see very rarely, for someone to get changed out of the lineup because he was put into the starting lineup. And I talked about how he could be best 11 at this World Cup about 24 hours ago. And I think for Belgium, it was as big a hit as you could take. At the same time, felt like they reacted pretty well to it.
They reacted well, and it wouldn't have made a difference. I don't think Yuri Tielemans, even though it was a one-goal game, I don't think Yuri Tielemans would have put them over the top. But it just stinks. At this point in the tournament, in every tournament, you want to see the best players in their best form, with their best health, out on the field. And we were deprived of that a little bit with Belgium. But obviously, that's not the big injury that everybody's talking about coming out of this game.
Which is even worse for Belgium. So Spain takes a 1-0 lead early on. The goal from Fabian Ruiz, who you talked about yesterday, potentially being in the starting lineup or not. He was inserted into the starting lineup. Felt like to gain some of that control for this team and let them set the pace. So he scores the opening goal off a rebound from a save shot from Thibaut Courtois. Then Belgium scores. The first goal conceded by Spain at this World Cup. So I have the minute somewhere in here. I don't have the minute somewhere in here, but it's been over 600 minutes that Spain has not conceded, 649 minutes without conceding a goal at the FIFA World Cup. Then they concede to, who else? Charles de Ketelaere. In the 41st minute, it was a secondary recycled set piece that they put in. He scores to make it 1-1. And then, as Doyle mentions, Thibaut Courtois goes down in the 60-something minute, is down for a little bit, gets back up, stays in for a moment, then gets replaced, and then his replacement in Sene saves the ball directly into the path of who else but Mikel Merino. And it was the big flashpoint of this game that one of the great players in Belgian history, he continued but then doesn't continue, and then, of course, his replacement's the one who helps concede the goal.
And it sucks because Lemens is a really good goalkeeper. He's a Manchester United starter. And for goalkeepers, it's always tricky because they're not actively warming up with the guys on the bench. So he came in the game cold. Yeah, the goal wasn't immediately after that. But still, I don't think we're going to be talking about this in 4 years when we talk about Belgium and Lemens is potentially going to play on the next World Cup. It's just going to be like a blip in the radar. But yeah, it sucked for Belgium overall in the sense of like you get Tielemans that gets injured on warm-ups. You didn't have Onana from the start, and you know that. They decided to bring De Bruyne back to a starting lineup.
Yep.
But I think at the end, the 2-1 didn't reflect. I thought Spain was really good.
Yeah.
Was really, really good.
And I thought Belgium was really good in their defensive blocks.
Yes.
Right? Like Spain had a lot of dangerous possession that they didn't turn into dangerous chances because that really back six, the way Belgium were playing, did their job.
Yeah.
And both goals came off of, in my opinion, goalkeeper errors. Courtois could have done better on the first one and then obviously the Lammers one. Whether we're talking about it 4 years, we might be talking about it 4 years from now. This is a type of error that can end up being career-defining, even for a really talented young goalkeeper.
Belgium, their defensive rate was incredible. Right. But at the end, well, then you got to make a choice when you play teams like Spain, right? They had to sat deep. And that left De Ketelaere and then Lukaku, when he came in, they were isolated. Like they didn't, Doku didn't have a good game. Then they switched Doku to the right side on the second half. That was my original idea. I thought that Doku would have been more effective from the get-go on the right side so he can attack Cucurella and help on that side. So they go 1-1 to halftime. It was something else like we were talking yesterday. It's like empty the tank, try to get to halftime with something to work on. They did. But it's funny because Spain was really good. But at the end, we're still not seeing Spain as this machine that we're used to it before the tournament. So you have this like bittersweet taste in your mouth that they're really good. They play really well, but they're still left something to be desired. Yeah. Oyarzabal, second game, very underwhelming. He's a great striker, a great finisher. But he's not a presence on the box. Like, for example, in the past, Morata, who was a presence on the box.
Who everyone hated.
Right. But he could dominate his guy in a physical duel in a way that Oyarzabal does not.
Right. So typical Oyarzabal is the perfect striker for these Spain models that they're going to pass the ball 60 times and then get through, break a line, and then score. But it doesn't give you like that dimension of that Morata gave. So obviously, France is going to give you more space, but I don't know. I don't know.
We've got 3 days to preview this game, and I think we won't land on how this game gets won or what it is. This has the potential to be the best game we've ever seen. You talked about the 2022 World Cup. I think this one will have as much hype, and for most people, these were the two favorites. They are two very distinct styles. They are two very differing. They are two super-powered, star-powered teams. I wanted to give this quote on Courtois before we move fully to Spain, which was, he said post-game, ultimately the team comes first. I can understand it because Sene's a good goalkeeper. I was willing to stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes as long as I didn't have to kick the ball very far. I've had to do that a lot in recent weeks. At a certain point, your body has had enough. And Rudy Garcia agreed with this and said, it was my call. If you're not 100%, you can't play at this level. I think I thought it was odd that Courtois stayed on. Like, he went down, then he gets back up, and you're like, okay, he's wasting time because he stayed on. And all of a sudden, then they make the substitution. If he's capable of playing, he's on the field. If he's incapable of playing, you take him off. It was very weird to me the way this was handled. It's bizarre to me that Courtois is saying, I could stay on. I just can't do like 30% of my job. And then it kind of came back around. I think Rudy Garcia is under a lot of pressure for a lot of reasons and has had a vibe of a tournament to push it on him. But I don't see this as Rudy Garcia's problem. Like, Thibaut Courtois is injured. He's incapable of playing. Therefore, he should not be on the field.
And he'd already made a mistake in the game, a big one. So, no, I don't really have a problem with what the coach did here. But I'm sure there are all kinds of recriminations in the Belgian press and the overall Belgian discourse based upon the fact that the replacement did come in and did commit the type of catastrophic error that is unforgettable.
Yeah. And it's a Belgian team that loses Onana in the game before. You lose Courtois, you lose Tielemans. It was probably a step too far. On the flip side for Spain, I want to start you here because it's your boy. They showed Pedri on the sideline, didn't get the start. He looked like a 7-year-old who got invited to the World Cup game, the way he was sitting on the sideline for this one. He's one of your favorite players in the world. You've talked about how he's underperformed. What do you make of the decision to not just bring Fabian Ruiz in, but to take Pedri out?
I think it proved to be the right decision. Pedri has underperformed. He hasn't been incisive, and he hasn't created those sort of downhill movements that are so overwhelming when he plays for Barcelona and usually when he plays for Spain. I think it's worth noting, I feel like Lamine Yamal has also underperformed.
Yeah.
By his standards, he has not been Now, he helped create the first goal with a bit of clever movement and a secondary, it didn't end up being a secondary assist, but it was a type of play that would be a secondary assist in MLS. But he had real trouble winning his 1v1s, and he's always bending the defense towards him.
Yeah.
He's usually able to make more of it than he did yesterday. Credit to Belgium for that, but Barcelona has used these guys a lot the last 2 years, like 8,000 minutes each over the last 24 months, and maybe it has worn them down. I didn't think Fabian Ruiz was great, but he's a little more linear in how he plays. He's always looking to play downhill. He doesn't have sort of the upwards gravity that Pedri has in terms of drawing pressure to him and then reversing it. But he does play downhill, and I think Spain needed a little of that for the first hour. It's worth noting, I thought that the last half hour of this game was the best Pedri has looked in the World Cup. So maybe it was a little bit mental as well. But my guess is for both those guys, it's fatigue. The other aspect of it, Nico Williams came on for the last 20 minutes as well. And he presents a downhill threat in the way that few players in this
Which was a huge difference at 2024 Euros from the failures for 10 years where it was one speed, one thing, to we won a championship.
Yeah. He and maybe it's just a factor of having that kind of penetration because I think Bayern is really good. He's not as good as Nico Williams, a healthy version of Nico Williams, and he doesn't run through the line the way Nico Williams does. Oyarzabal I love. He doesn't run through the line. Lamine Yamal can, but he's so incredibly valuable as a playmaker that he's usually dropping a little deep and pulling defenders with him. So it could just be a factor of needing that balance in there. And then the other one is Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez injured before the tournament even started. He's not a Spanish player. He plays like an English number 10, where he's just all action all the time. He doesn't make magic with the ball, but he gets into spots that make the opposing backline uncomfortable. And I think they've missed that.
Speaking of not fully the Spanish archetype, Merino has been a difference maker now. 2 games off the bench, 2 goals. We saw it for Arsenal this year. He plays as center forward. He plays as a 10. He plays as an 8. But the main part of his game is he makes runs forward. He takes risks.
Yeah.
He tries. And the risks here are just the effort to maybe there is a rebound. And it's been the difference maker. And clearly De La Fuente has that pulse of like, okay, this is the time to use him and use that skill set when the game kind of breaks down late on.
Something similar to what we saw with Ferran Torres against Portugal, right?
Yeah.
When the game needs that change of speed, that crush in the box, that presence. Because again, Oyarzabal was given anything on the box. So, but that's when you're talking about Lamine Yamal and being underwhelming and Pedri being underwhelming. But just mention basically half of the roster that has played or play on this game, and that's why Spain is so difficult to beat. Because and that's why, again, to my point with Belgium, De Ketelare and Lukaku on the field were so isolated because Belgium was doing such a great job covering ground. Like the Kuipers, what a game by the Kuipers. Having to deal with not Yamal, but Pedro Porro was right there with Yamal. And then you have Cucurella on the other side. Like Spain pins you down. France is going to give you spaces that Belgium didn't got. And that's why I think that's going to be a great game. We're going to see the best version of Spain. But you have these resources from the bench. Ferran Torres, who's actually, I think he's going to sign for PSG now. The report said yesterday. I think Fabrizio Romano.
He's like, oh, it's fun dominating the ball, moving around and winning everything.
Luis Enrique, and I wouldn't be shocked if Luis Enrique plays him as a 9.
Yeah.
On his system as a 9, false 9. So I mean having those options, and we've seen that with Arsenal. Merino coming in the last 5-10 minutes and being that presence on the box, crashing the box. Now, it's what are you going to do against France? And I know we're going to have days to talk about this, but you have Kone and Rabiot, right? I don't think Spain can play against France with Pedri and Rodri on the field.
Interesting.
I think they're too slow because Rodri with the ball is a magician. Like he's unbelievable in the way he turns and controls the game. He's even more physical than Busquets. He doesn't have the quality, but he's so big. But I think he's very slow. Yeah. And that's why I think to deal with that Belgian presence now, for Spain's luck, quote unquote luck, Tielemans gets injured, but I think that's why he picks Fabian Ruiz over Pedri, because Fabian Ruiz is just he's a machine. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He's going to cover a lot of ground, and so I wouldn't be shocked if Pedri starts on the bench. Or now he sits Dani Olmo, who I think was spectacular yesterday, and he plays with Rodri, Pedri, and he plays Fabian Ruiz to cover more ground against France. But I know we still have 3 more days to talk about this.
It's the thing where it's, in the end, Spain, to beat France, will probably have to play their game to perfection. Yeah. Any mistake becomes a true counterattacking opportunity for the most dangerous transition team in the world. And then for France, if they do sit in, you have to play to perfection because any gap, any opening you leave will be taken advantage of. one of the underrated, I think, plays of this game was there was a Spanish corner kick that Belgium was out in transition on, and I think it's Danny Olmo who makes the interception to Ketelaer's trying to put, I don't know if it was Doku through or whoever it was running with them. It would have been 2-1 if Belgium goes up and scores. And that's sort of like the game recognition moments I think people forget about. It's like all these players are elite players. Everyone's like, oh, Spain plays one way, they do one thing well. It's like, no, they do a lot of things well. Otherwise, teams would beat them every time they made mistakes. This is, in the modern era, it doesn't feel rare, but this is still rarefied air for Spain. This is their second semifinal of a World Cup.
It's crazy to think
Like 2010. This is not a country that has 70 years of history. Even France, with Platini in the 80s and then in 98 on, they have all this World Cup history. A lot of people who are newer to the sport see Spain as a power and a favorite every time. It's the second time. It's also the second time that a reigning European champion has made it to the World Cup semifinal, and the other was 2010 with Spain. So when they go big.
Yeah.
And they won it in 2024. They beat France in the semifinals of the European Championships in 2024 2-1. And you mentioned yesterday, I think, the 2025 Nations League semifinal, which is a 5-4 win for Spain.
And that was a game Spain completely controlled for 70 minutes. And then for whatever reason, the final 20, I don't remember precisely what happened, but the final 20 minutes of the game, the breaks came off, and I'm pretty sure France scored all 4 of their goals in the final 20 minutes, and they were just getting free runs at the goalkeeper time and time and time again. There's a lot of film to look at, and we'll go over it over the next few days. But what we've seen throughout this tournament is that Spain is at their best when Courtois is getting way up high on that left side, and they're controlling the ball and using him as, sort of the one who creates dynamic superiority. We always know they're going to have positional superiority. We always know that they're going to have possessional superiority. What they struggle with is creating dynamic superiority, turning all of that possession into these downhill movements. They're getting it from that left side. They're not getting it from much else. And credit does go to Belgium for that yesterday, but they need to figure some stuff out before the semifinals.
There was one or two moments where I thought Yamal was closer than he has been. He didn't break through, right? He comes back, he gets it, he turns upfield, he swims between 2 defenders, and you expect the explosion to come. It wasn't there, but it felt closer, and he felt more willing to risk it than it did in the 3 rounds before, where we've said, oh, he's in 3rd gear, he's in 4th gear. So I think, fingers crossed, the hope would be the game was on Thursday, semifinal will be on Tuesday, so there's enough of a Friday, sorry. So I don't know if there's enough of a layoff to get there. And all these players are now kind of in scramble mode trying to get there. For Spain, they are now unbeaten in 36 consecutive matches. Their last loss came in 2024 to Colombia. Last time they went on a 35-game win streak, they lost to the U.S. in the Confederations Cup semifinal. So,
going back to that Nations League 5-4 game, at the 55th minute, Spain was winning 4-0.
Yeah.
With Pedri, Yamal, Merino, and Nico Williams. And when we, looking at the lineups at that day, the front 3 for Spain was Nico Williams, Oyarzabal, Lamal. The midfield, Merino, Zubimendi.
Yeah.
Rodri was injured. Big difference. And Pedri. Cucurella and Porro as the fullback, same thing. Simon on goal. And Huijsen, who didn't make the team, and Lenormand. The center backs are different, but it's basically like the big change will be Zubimendi playing instead of Rodri. And France was the same. Koné, Rabiot, Doué, Olise, Dembele, Mbappe.
Yeah, difference at center back. And then the big difference for France, and we've talked about over and over, 2024 Euros, they scored 1 open field goal. Olise was not in the team. Olise's in the team for this. They scored 4. It just wasn't enough to win. And so I think the combination of Rodri coming back into the team and Olise changed both these teams' DNA, which is why this is so exciting. I think these are the 2 best teams in the world right now. To see them in a semifinal is great, because finals sometimes underwhelm because there's so much buildup and there's so much pressure. Sometimes you sneak the better game in at the semi. So this is going to be a delicious one. It will be happening, I believe, down in Texas in Jerry World. So
let me just make one more point about this. Remember last week when we were doing best 11, and I called Pau Cubarsí the 19-year-old Spanish Tim Ream. De Ketelaere felt Like that was an apt comparison.
Dunk time!
Absolutely dunked on him in the exact same way he dunked on poor Tim Ream. Anyway.
All right, let's move to today because we are going to set our other semifinal. So the semifinal coming up on Wednesday will be decided with the two opponents that are coming out of the quarterfinals that we will see this afternoon. So for starters, we have Norway versus England. That game will take place theoretically at 5 p.m. Eastern time in Miami today. Woof. I would be shocked if that game kicked off on time. It's going to be raining from now through 9 p.m. the next day. But that game's going to kick off. I have seen videos of the Norwegians doing the row down on South
Except
Beach.
one guy.
What?
Except that one guy.
Except that one guy.
Yeah.
He's fun at parties.
Yeah. And the English fans have obviously invaded Florida, I don't know, about 47 years ago and never left. So they're all hanging out, enjoying themselves down there. They think it's the best place in the world. And there's a lot of different angles to take with this game. It is the 13th all-time meeting between England and Norway. They have not played, though, since 2014. So these are not two countries that are super familiar with each other. For Norwegian soccer culture, England is a huge part of it. There are massive Liverpool fan clubs and Manchester United fan clubs. And then, of course, Erling Haaland was born in England while his father played in England at the time for Leeds, ended up playing at Manchester City, and now Haaland, of course, makes his name at Manchester City, and Odegaard at Arsenal, and many of the other players playing over there. So there are tight connections between the two of them, and this is a huge moment for both these countries. For England, trying to go back to a World Cup semifinal for the first time since 2018, trying to win just a second one ever, and I don't know that they'll ever get a better road to a final than the one that they have set up before them. And for Norway, of course, you never know if you're going to be back here because there is not a ton of experience in spaces like this. Here's a fun fact. Norway have never beaten a UEFA side at the World Cup. 2 draws and 4 losses. Now, they haven't been at the World Cup since 1998. They lost 1-0 to Italy. Back then, Italy used to play in World Cups. That's the thing they used to do. But they don't do anymore. And so this is a huge moment for them. And they come in as underdogs, but slight underdogs. They have, I think the lines I saw are pretty tight and pretty close. We have our Football Manager First Touch Tactics Board presented by Football Manager 26, where Doyle broke down a little bit of how they're going to play. Let's take a look at that.
Norway didn't counter Brazil off the park. They controlled it, tilting the field and registering over 65% possession. So why would they sit and counter against England? Brazil set off, content to let Norway have the ball, betting their individual quality would punish mistakes. Norway patiently probed that low block for 79 minutes until fresh legs, Shoulder Up and Bob, found the gap. It was control rather than chaos. England's threat is concentrated, not systemic. It runs through set pieces, Harry Kane's overall brilliance, and Jude Bellingham's ability to find gaps. If Norway presses high and squeezes those central pockets, they cut the supply line at the source, the same way Norway's control suffocated Brazil's individual quality by starving them of service. The cost is spacing behind. Push numbers forward, and England's pace on the counter is a threat. That's the trade-off. Compress the midfield, but stay disciplined enough not to hand England exactly the kind of transitions they used to beat Mexico. Ultimately, it's a bet on which version of control matters more, control of the ball or control of space.
Paul did a good job there.
Sitting directly in front of El Profe, Paul Tenorio's book, The Messi Effect. Matt Doyle breaking it down for us. You kind of queried the question in there. Have you come to a different conclusion since recording?
Nope. I'm glad I don't have to make the decision because England, even though it's a little like Spain where it feels like they haven't hit their top gear, we all know the amount of talent they have, and we all saw what they did to Mexico playing primarily on the break. They can be really, really dangerous. They can beat anyone. At the same time, Norway is better when they have the ball. I feel confident saying that about them now after what they did to Brazil. Do you play to your strengths and open yourself up to getting defeated by the other team's strengths? Or do you play a more cagey style of game? I don't know the answer to that. And I am afraid that we are going to find out in the presence of Anders in a negative way.
It is, as I said, a huge moment for this Norway team. One of the questions around the starting lineup, we've asked the question around Sorloth and his addition to sub both wingers at halftime of the last game has to open up the idea that you don't know which of the four are your true starters. And one note is Antonio Nusa sitting on a yellow card. So if he picks up a yellow card, he'll be suspended for the semifinals. He's the only player on Norway sitting on one. There are 4 players for England sitting on a yellow card. Mark Gahey, who we'll talk about in a moment, Nico O'Reilly, Declan Rice, and Jude Bellingham. You know, it's Pyrrhic victories when you come out of the Azteca. So for this group, there's some starting lineup questions for Norway as well as for England.
For England, per BBC.
The BBC.
The BBC. Legit. Good news. I'll say great news. Declan Rice, Mark Gahey, and Reece James all participated in full training yesterday.
So the assumption would be Gahey would start at center back, Reece James would start at right back, and obviously Declan Rice is a starter if he's healthy. That would be big. That would be big for an England team.
I mean, full training, match -1, it's you're good.
Gahey, massive. He's been the heart of the defense. And then Reece James is the piece off and on it feels like they're missing at that right back spot.
Yeah, and his leadership. I mean, he's a great player, both for club and country, and is he a captain, right?
He's captain.
He's captain of Chelsea, right? Yeah, Reece James, and
we've seen how well Chelsea have done the past couple of years.
Okay. He lifted the Club World Cup trophy in New Jersey last year alongside one of his buddies. So we know that he's captain of that team. While he tried to figure out when you're supposed to lift that freaking trophy.
I'm sensing that you guys don't like Reece James.
No, I like Reece James. I think he's a good player. I think Reece James is one of those players that the conversation on social media happens so fast that people are trash immediately.
Right.
And he has spent now 6 years since he's been trash being a really good player.
He gets injured a lot.
He gets injured a lot. I don't know that he's a world-class right back, but to your point about leadership and culture, he's someone who I'd want in my 11 fairly often, and I think he can play multiple spots inside of it.
The issue is we're talking now about 3 guys who are carrying injuries or are at least carrying rust in Reece James, Declan Rice, and Mark Gahey going against a front line of Haaland and Nusa, playmaker of Odegaard. On the other side is either Sorloth or Bob, Shelderup coming in off the bench or maybe starting. It's not an ideal situation for England. At the same time, they do have the overall talent advantage.
Yeah. If both teams play to their level, in theory, England should win the game. There should be no pressure on Norway. Like, I think they're on house money at this point, and I think you see that in Haaland's personality. Like, everyone has fallen in love with this guy. He is now the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah, yesterday we talked about this. 2 things. Yahoo Sports took a tweet that went viral and asked a question. The tweet said, in the last 2 weeks, Erling Haaland on the field and social media has done more for soccer in the U.S. than the USMNT. Do you agree or not? I'm just going to give my personal experience because I'm surrounded. All my friends mostly are non-soccer people.
Right.
And yesterday I was with 2 of my best friends where I live. We're watching after the game. And they couldn't care less about anything. All their questions were about Haaland. Where does he play? How is this guy? They started following him on all the social media. They don't know anything about Pulisic, about Reina, about the USMNT. They didn't watch the USMNT games. They're non-soccer people. But yes, and they were singing Haaland, Haaland all day. This morning I was like on the train, Haaland. I was like, God. So this guy is so likable. Yeah. I love him so much. And this is going to be very obvious, but I have a stat here that says that Norway wins less than a third of their games where he's not on the score sheet, so he has to score. And looking at the numbers, so I found this stat, which is incredible. Erling Haaland has the fastest ratio for minutes per international goal. Yeah. So he scores with Norway every 71 minutes. The second best is Harry Kane with 108. For example, Messi is every 134 minutes. But Messi's not a striker, fair. Mbappe, every 126 minutes. Yeah. So this is going to be obvious. I think it's very basic, but Norway has a chance in this game as long as Haaland scores. Yeah. I mean, it's...
In the last 14 competitive games Norway has played, Haaland has scored in all of them 27 goals.
Jesus.
Now, what we saw in the Brazil game was the reality, though. If the game's against you, you don't play through him. If the game's against you, he can't pull you out of it. But I was talking to our Norwegian friend, Pamo Duka, who played for the Norwegian national team, and he said there's a confidence that you have knowing he's there. For the Norway players, rather than, we've talked about gravity of like, okay, if the game's against me, I get it to Pedri's feet. He'll solve problems. Now I can breathe. It is, if the game's against me, as long as we can hang on, we'll get the one chance and he'll score that goal.
Yeah. And it's a superpower. And we've seen it happen time and time again, both for club and country. 62 goals in 54 national team games. It's
insane.
He's like you would generate this character playing a video game, and then you have to toss him out because it would be unfair.
Mark Cahy wanted the opportunity to get dunked on, so he made sure to fight his way back for this game. Huge moment for England, of course, trying to win their second ever World Cup, the first since 1966, and it is.
Do we count that one?
As a line is coming home.
Because I think if we had VAR then, it's no goal from Jeff Hurst. It would go to penalty shootout, and we know who's winning that one.
Well, we invented corruption for host countries about a week ago.
It was the first time.
That's
So
right.
1966 doesn't count.
Right.
I don't think Mussolini's World Cup counts.
Right.
So,
Two of them.
Two of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think we just invented that. So England in 1966 at home, the only World Cup they've ever won, was definitely legitimate in every single way possible. I want to ask you guys who you think is going to win and your previews.
Oh my God.
Doyle, you can go first because Michele almost just cried.
Yeah, I think England's going to win. I think they have too much overall talent, and I honestly think we just spent 10 minutes talking about Erling Haaland. I honestly think Harry Kane's a better soccer player.
Okay.
His ability to not just convert the one opportunity, does it in a different way than Haaland does, but we saw against DR Congo that goal he scores from the top of the box, with the way he was able to stay completely on balance and then get that much power on it, but also to orchestrate the game as well, to make Saka better, to make obviously Jude Bellingham better. He is as complete a striker as I have ever seen, and it's all organized to make him the focal point. And I still think that was a little bit of a mistake from Tommy Tactics, because you want to have other clubs in the bag, but he's just going to keep playing his best card and play it and play it and play it. And so far, Harry Kane has not let them down. And as good as the Norwegian back line has been, I do think that is a bit of a weak spot.
Yeah, England, and also I'll be rooting for Norway, but I think England is the best team. Like you said, it's funny that you mentioned this because he was asked yesterday on the press conference, match -1, how was him compared to Haaland, and he said we're very different players. Haaland is a number 9, box, terminator, finisher. I'm more of a player, like you just mentioned. I think Harry Kane, I said it, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I think he's the golden ball for me to this moment, and I really want to see England-Argentina in semifinal. I think historically, with the hand of God and the Maldives, and I want to see England crush Argentina. We're going to talk about Argentina later. But now, yesterday I was so sad, man. I was so sad because in the same press conference, Harry Kane talked and admitted that he played golf with somebody that we don't want to mention 18 months ago, and he was like giving praise, and I was like, oh, why are you doing this to me right now? I'm rooting for you, dude. Anyways.
Yeah, Harry Kane, the big old head sitting up top. Jordan, why don't you bring up my screen real quick, because I'll tell you who I'm rooting for. This is the Financial Times of Norway, and they did a feature in New York City at a bar, and you can see bartenders taking shots of aquavit. This is my guy who helped us out, Tom, the entire day. And right here, right in the middle,
man
is
of the
David
people.
Goss in the Norway bar,
Mr.
baby.
Worldwide,
Did you roll?
David Goss.
Ooh, it was an epic day. I did more shots of aquavit directly out of bottles from different angles than I'd ever imagined in my entire life. I told you we had salmon, fish, and chips, which was awesome. And then this is Anders and Paola. This is my guy, Jesper, right here. Jesper was having a good time, came down from Boston just because he watched in Boston at a Norway party that was mainly families. And he's like, I screamed too much, and everyone was uncomfortable. So I drove to New York to watch this game, and it was a good time. So I'm picking Norway 2-1, baby. Erling Haaland, the decimator, dunks over a couple people. And for all the house money stuff on Norway, I think if England takes the lead early, it gets bad, to your point, because Norway's backline gets stretched. They can't control the game. If Norway scores first, all of a sudden, for every England player, the entire reality, which is what has happened for 60 years, falls onto your shoulders of we should win. We're supposed to win. I will also wonder, I know it's been a long layoff, but Azteca to Miami is a really tough stretch for England.
Yeah.
And England, I thought it was interesting the way the Federation worded it internally. They broke the World Cup down into 4 stages, and they talked about winning and surviving through each of those stages. And they called the last segment, which was from Kansas City to Houston or Atlanta, back to Kansas City to Mexico, back. They called that the tough stretch. Like that was the feeling. It was going to be the most travel plus the altitude. That was going to be that
Followed
hard
by
part.
the heat.
Now, though, if you focus on that way, now you come into something that is equally as tough in a different way, and that shift of mentality and that shift of energy has to come. And if they fall behind in this one, I think it's going to start to get a little bit hairy, and it'll be fascinating. So this game, 5 p.m. Eastern time to start us off. Then we finish the night with Argentina against Switzerland in Kansas City at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Argentina attempting to go to another World Cup semifinal. Messi, I got the T-shirt on, attempting to go to another World Cup semifinal himself. If you scale it back to 2014, and they were able to get to this semifinal, I believe it would be his 7th semifinal with Argentina, because you had 2 Copa Americas
14,
in back-to-back
15,
years.
16,
21,
22, 24,
26.
20. Wow.
So this is our Soccer.com segment. Carry the crest as you represent your team this summer. You'll find the widest selection of World Cup gear at Soccer.com. Get a free Gold Club membership with the purchase of any World Cup jersey using code KICKBACK. I've got the Argentina jersey right behind me. You can go get the special balls. You can go get scarves, different T-shirts, and of course, you can get the kits to represent your squads over the course of the World Cup and then beyond, because these are the kits you're going to want to say, oh, yeah, I have that 26 kit when things go well. Argentina have won both their World Cup games against Switzerland 2-0 in 1966. What a day for 1966, and 1-0 in 2014, which is the last meeting between these sides. Switzerland have never beaten Argentina in 7 attempts in all competitions. On the yellow card side of things, only one player on Argentina has one, Gonzalo Montiel, because Argentine players don't foul. They don't really get caught up in anything. 3 for Switzerland coming into the game. Dennis Zakaria, Granit Xhaka, and Miro Muheim. And, of course, Xhaka and Zakaria will be under a ton of pressure in this game. Anyone who picks up a yellow card in this game, if your team goes on, you will be suspended for the semifinal. You've mentioned Argentina being a little underwhelmed by this team. Yeah. What do you make of this matchup for them?
I'm fascinated by the choices that Scaloni is going to be forced to make. Yeah. Tough choices. He switched the tactical system. He sat Almada to put in Paredes against Egypt. That helped free Enzo Fernandez and McAllister. But everything starts even on the right back position. Molina is a starter. He's a more offensive player. But he got subbed by Montiel when they were down 2-0. And actually, Montiel looked better in offense, because Montiel normally is brought back at the end of games to defend. Mm-hmm. But of course, I mean, when you're down 2-0, we got to give context, right? Argentina was all out on offense, so Montiel looked really well. But for me, it's the midfield. We said he sat down Almada, put in Paredes to play as a 5, and that gave freedom to DePaul, McAllister, and Enzo Fernandez. There's talk in Argentina that Nico Gonzalez might come into play in the starting lineup. He's a winger. Yeah. So if you do that, you have to sit down one of the midfielders. Rodrigo de Paul has been bad this World Cup. Bad, period. He's had a couple fine moments, especially on the opener, I think. But to give you context of what de Paul has been on this World Cup, and I'm comparing him to Rodrigo de Paul 2022 to his standards. I'm not saying he's not a terrible. Obviously, he's not a terrible player. To his standard, he's been poor. So before the World Cup, De Paul has been the player that Scaloni has used the most minutes during his tenure. 73 games started with Argentina. Just 3 times he got subbed out before the World Cup. He's been subbed out in the last 3 times in the last 4 games. And the other game he didn't play, he was on the bench because they rotated. So I know De Paul, it's very important for Scaloni. He's the player he has used the most.
Yeah.
But if he's going to make the choice of bringing in Nico Gonzalez on the starting lineup, he has to sit De Paul. He cannot touch Paredes, McAllister, and obviously Enzo Fernandez, who's his best midfielder. So and also, do you repeat Julian Alvarez, who's not a number 9?
That's the other big question.
Or you play with Lautaro that gives you a number 9 box presence, who I think is fantastic. He hasn't had a great World Cup, but I think he's a great number 9. So I'm excited. I'm counting the minutes to see the Argentina starting lineups.
Yeah.
Julian Alvarez, Lautaro. Alvarez is a better player all around. He came in injured, so he's not fully sharp. I think that's what we saw partially against Egypt. He wants to do more. Lautaro doesn't. So
Lautaro knows his role.
Right, and that almost feels better because Messi does the more on this team.
Yeah. I think that sums it up right there. Like if I was starting a team and I could have either of these guys at age 25, I would probably take Julian Alvarez because he's a better overall soccer player. Lautaro is a better fit for this team, and I think we saw that. Nico Gonzalez coming in is interesting. It does mean the switch to a 4-3-3, likely with Messi playing as an inverted right winger, just occupying that left half space. And then it means Montiel likely at right back, do you think, on the overlap? And then the question is, all right, is it Paredes, Enzo? Enzo's written in pen.
Yeah.
And McAllister in a midfield 3? Or and then obviously DePaul gets dropped. So there's, for this deep in the tournament, to be dealing with that many questions is unusual. They have Messi, so I'm going to pick them to win anyway.
Of course.
They're going to have 60% possession, and they're going to attack a Swiss defense that's been really good. Goalkeeper Kubel has been really, really good. They are comfortable suffering and defending really deep. They could easily win this game 2-0 on counterattacks and set pieces. Argentina leave themselves open on counterattack. I mean, we all saw the Egypt game.
Yeah.
They leave themselves open, especially when they're chasing on counterattacks. To me, they just have enough final third quality, even if the structure's not necessarily there, to win this game.
It's fascinating that Scaloni's reaction to the Cape Verde game was Julian Alvarez and Paredes back in, because they were almost two differing things. Okay, Alvarez brings more in the attack. I think part of it was probably, can Alvarez bridge what Lautaro and Almada did?
Right.
Because I'm taking out one of those pieces. And then they were more exposed against Egypt, and they looked worse. So you got none of what you were looking for, and then you go and win. And so it's like every time he tries an answer, it's wrong, but then they still pass the quiz, and now you move on to a new situation. And right now, I think to your point of like they look worse than 2022, where it felt like they grew in strength as the World Cup went along. From the Netherlands game, as they went through that World Cup, it felt like it got more cohesive of everyone does the work. Alvarez was stretching the field a little bit, Messi playing underneath. But all of that was still late goals and like late pushes. The margins were still very thin at that World Cup. There's only so long you can go on thin margins. The question is if Switzerland has enough to step out and beat them. They didn't against Colombia. Right, they were fortunate that Colombia couldn't finish. Now, Colombia's rest defense is better than Argentina's, and Colombia's natural defense is better than Argentina's. But there was a real lack of ability to get out and hurt in transition.
I mean, if Monzambi was healthy, I would actually pick Switzerland to win this game, but he's not.
Right. So now the question is, can Xhaka get you out? And does he have the options to play out to? And it's going to fall to Vargas and Embolo.
Yeah.
And Vargas or one of them is going to have their best game. Because one of them's going to, what we saw with Egypt was, yes, you can get out in transition. You're going to have to beat someone 1v1. Now, there's a lot of players in this Argentina group who will take risks and try and win it from you early rather than chase.
Yeah.
But you have to beat someone 1v1 to get that final opportunity. And Egypt did it 3 or 4 times, and they scored 3 times, and they only got 2 to count. But like at some point, and I think this Switzerland team against Colombia was very risk adverse in that way. And even when they got into final thirds quickly, it was let's recycle possession, let's turn it back around. Hence, getting one shot for the final hour and a half of this game.
Yeah, you have to finish because Egypt had 3 shot on goals, 3 goals.
Yep.
Dibu Martinez didn't have a save. Switzerland is going to have 1 or 2 chances. Are they going to take it? That's the big question mark.
2 interesting facts here to close on. Not related specifically to this game, but probably to both games. So one is the team that has shot first in penalty kicks has won less than 50% of the time at this World Cup.
That's
And
unusual.
the common refrain for people was 60-40 if you shoot first. The pressure's off a little bit, you set the tone. One of the data groups went through a couple other competitions, all fairly specific, but opened it up a little bit more. And of the 5 they looked at, only 1, the first team had won over 50%. So maybe that logic is starting to shift. I don't think we've seen a team choose to shoot second, but now I wonder if understanding what's required of you and matching the thing before has shifted the pressure rather than, oh no, I have to score because the person in front of me did. The other is center backs have been terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's a small sample size. It's a World Cup. But I think about that with Manuel Akanji. I mean, we've seen 4 center backs just hoof the ball over the crossbar. And it's like, oh, that's a great 60-yard ping. Congratulations.
Fernando Hierro's not walking through that door.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
And we've just seen it over and over again. So as we get to penalty kick shootouts today, if it happens in one of these 2 games, which I would not be shocked by, keep that in mind, that pressure has shifted between first and last. Of course, Messi has missed 2 penalties at this World Cup, but historically has been really good in PK shootouts. But you never know. Well, he won a World Cup.
He did, but that was against the historical precedent. Don't you remember what happened in all those Copa America?
Yes.
Copas Americas?
Yeah. Copa Centenarios. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get another one. We'll get another Centenario coming up in 2 years back here in the U.S. Well, it's going to be a great day of soccer. It is our last day with multiple games, so enjoy it for every last morsel. I hope both games go to penalties. I hope we are all dead by the end of this after 8.5 hours of high-intensity soccer. Very thin margins between these 2 teams, so they should be really tight games. We'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We will have your recap of all of this, and then going forward through the rest of the week, we're going to shift the show a little bit on Monday and Tuesday. Or are we at 9:30 tomorrow? Or are we at 12:30?
We're 9:30
9:30
tomorrow,
tomorrow, yeah.
according to your schedule.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind 12:30 though.
Okay.
Monday, 12:30.
We'll be on tomorrow. We'll be on Monday. We've got a couple specials that we're working on. We've got some guests that we're going to pull in. Of course, we've got the World Cup semifinals, which is going to be one of the coolest events we ever see. And then in a week, we have the World Cup final. And I am reminded by people that I live around that we have the 3rd place championship match on Saturday in Miami.
I love the 3rd place match.
You do?
Yeah,
Because it's open and no one cares.
Yeah.
I can kind of remember the Morocco one. I promise you I did not watch the Belgium England game in 2018. Was that what it is? I can promise you I didn't watch that game. I had tickets to it though, because I bought a St. Petersburg package and that was included, and I could not get anyone to buy it for face value under. Just take it from me, and no one would. So maybe we'll send Doyle down to be a correspondent from Miami on Saturday.
I wouldn't say no to that.
Okay. Thank you to all of you for listening. Big shout out to Jordan for being here on the weekend. Thank you to you two. Thank you to all of you. We will talk to you again very, very soon. And no thank you to Connor, as always.